All major religions and philosophies have some belief in life after death. For some, it is just over, nothingness. Some believe in reincarnation, a sort of soul recycling where you die and come back in some other physical form until you finally get it right and go free to some better place. Others teach if you are bad, you go straight to hell and punishment. If you are decent, you go to a holding place, not heaven, not hell, until somebody prays for you or lights enough candles to get you out. Bottom line, in all other religions, man pays the price for his own salvation, always trying to do better. You're on your own. But followers of Christ believe Jesus paid it all. Ephesians 2:8, for it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God.
Before I met Christ, I was as lost and broken as you come. I grew up in foster care until I was 7 years old. I never met my father. He denied me at birth. My mother was a prostitute and drug addict, in and out of prison. My sisters and I were placed in foster care when I was around 3. I was adopted into a family that was very well off, very known around the town. Unfortunately, the family that I was placed with, after living with them for several years, my adopted father had charges pressed on him for molestation of my oldest sister, at which time I was removed from the home and sent to a children's home up in Austin called Texas Baptist Children's Home. I grew up in church. I knew who Jesus was. I was baptized at a young age. Around the age of 15, I started using drugs. My parents brought me back down from the group home up in Austin. I was at home for not even a month and I ran away. It was just too much to be there with my father. I moved in with my oldest sister, who was 21 at the time. Had absolutely no guidance, no authority. Dropped out of high school. Dove deeper into drugs. Got pregnant at 17. Had my daughter. I was so heavy into substances. Mainly crystal meth, ecstasy, mushrooms, pain pills. I actually couldn't stick around and be a mother. I left my daughter's dad and began another relationship with someone else. Got pregnant again. Got married to this man. Had my son. Started back on drugs again, but this time heavier. Began shooting up every substance that there was. Destroyed everything. I was in and out of prison, in and out of rehabs, numerous overdoses. I actually died, and by the grace of God, He brought me through it. So you could say that my life before Christ was rage, just brokenness, everything that comes along with it.
Well, before Christ, I would say my life was total hell. It was, there was no peace in my life. I was always looking for something and looking in the wrong places, and it was always turmoil. And whatever I did, it was, whether it was drugs or alcohol women, whatever it was that I was trying to satisfy my life with music or whatever. It wasn't satisfying me, and it was wrecking my family, wrecking myself, winding up in jail, winding up in bad places, dark places, and it was just a bad spot. Everything that the devil put in front of me for satisfaction, it never satisfied me. Never did. And I tried everything, and to no avail.
Well, God had started to get my attention in very strange ways. One evening, one of my neighbors, we were using, and I felt as though God was speaking right to me through her, and she said, you know, the Lord is waiting. Whenever you're ready, Jen, to give him your life, he's there. That was the first time that anyone had talked about the Lord since I was 15 years old and left home. I was 28 years old when she spoke to me. I knew that God was working on me, and he was really tugging at my heart. Fortunately, God made a way through a member of this church, actually a family that attended here, and they lived out in Humble, and God opened the door for me to go stay out there and get clean and get my life together.
We were dead when he found us. He took our punishment, paid our debt with his blood, and he gives us eternal life. Romans 8:11. But if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his spirit who dwells in you.
There was a time in my life when I was a small boy that my dad, he was an alcoholic. And one day, he got in a bad spot, and he was gonna have to do some jail time. And he wound up, a friend of his, wound up leading him to the Lord. And it was like a light switch had been turned on in my dad's life. Just the love that he had after Christ coming to his life. It's just remarkable. I couldn't believe the man that was before me after Christ coming to his life. Fast forward several years later, I'm pretty much in the same boat. And I knew what Christ had done for my dad, he could do for me. In 2007, I went to a service of my mother-in-law's at the time. And I couldn't even make it through the whole song service before the conviction fell upon me so hard, and it's like somebody was just yanking my heart out. And I run to the altars. I just knew that's what I had to do, and that's where I needed to be, and I gave my life to the Lord then, and I haven't looked back since.
Last January, I think the third Sunday of the month, I had come in here, and the entire service I was weeping, and by the end of the service at altar call, it felt like I sprinted up to the altar. I couldn't get there quick enough. It's as though the Lord took my chest and pulled me and drug me up there. I got up there and I fell to my knees and wept and cried out to the Lord and surrendered to him. I knew that my old life was over. I didn't want anything to do with it any longer. And ever since that day, he's been pouring into me. The one thing that I had desired my entire life was the love of the Father. And it took 28 years to find it. But I found it, and there's nothing like it. My life is different now. There is joy. There is hope. There is peace. He is restoring everything that I destroyed. I'm living for the first time in my life.